Good afternoon, everyone. So today we have Tilak Masrani sir with us. Hello, Tilak Masrani sir.
Hello.
How are you doing?
All good?
All good. Okay. So Tilak sir is from Web3 India. Web3 India is one of the well-known organization in Ahmedabad. It has more than 200 employees which are serving in blockchain solutions. And the company is working with national, international and government projects, providing multiple solutions in blockchain domain. So today we will be having this talk with Tilak Masrani sir, trying to understand that how blockchain is an important part as a multiple domain in Industry 5.0 and what kind of solutions Web3 India and Mr. Tilak sir is providing to the client side. Hello sir.
Hello.
Okay. So again, first question that I'd like to ask is, if I want to explain someone what blockchain is in layman terms, like the student is completely new to the ecosystem and engineering branch and he's coming from 12th standard. So what kind of things can be there that can encourage or provide some kind of enthusiast to that student to understand about blockchain? So
Sure. See, first we need to understand here is there is two myths with the blockchain. The first myth is blockchain is a cryptocurrency language. So that's the biggest myth. And the second myth into the world is like it's a new language. So these two things are quite different. Why I'm saying this? Because see, when you started working into this industry or when you came to the IT industry or came to study the IT, so at that point what was been there is like you were studying the monolithic architecture, or you can say the normal database based architecture. But the issue was you were having three options at that point. The first was insert, update and delete. So these were the three options, or we can say in good terms, that is the CRUD operations. So we were using these CRUD operations since long from the starting of our career, or we can say from the starting of what we are studying here. Now, what is the difference between blockchain and this thing? See, there is no difference between this. If I say that I want to create a database architecture which can just take the data and give the data, then that's blockchain. So simplest term is it's basically the data model, or you can say the database model which we are using, and that is the part of microservices architecture. So what we need to understand here is, first it was monolithic based architecture where you were creating a table, you were creating a database, after that you were creating the queries, and on the base of that the system was interacting between the front layer and the back layer. It means your front end and the back end. Now after that, that was like a monolithic architecture. The architecture were having lots of issues. Like there was a robustness was missing into it. Yep. Even the reusability of the data was quite difficult at point, because each time you need to use a different query. And the third most important issue was like you can edit the data anytime. Okay. Now coming to the real world scenario, if you can edit the data, if you can get the data from somewhere, and if that is being breached, then that was the biggest issue. And people was not able to own their data. So blockchain was there introduced to own the data. You take the ownership of your data, and for that the blockchain was introduced, and that's why blockchain is said to be the transactional language. Here, how it is working, let's understand you can say the microservice architecture first. So we discussed monolithic here, on which we were working since long. Now after that, what happened, like it was a huge data, and it was getting more spaces. Like it was using more spaces, it needed more space, it was slow in certain terms, it was not secure, and those were the issues. Still we were happy with that. But after that, people get to know that when we go with the governance, when we go with the banking, when we go with other aspects of industries, not for the public aspect, like not e-commerce, not social media, because sockets and all were there since long for social media and everything. So it was easy for them to use within the monolithic architecture, and still it's easy for use with that. But when you go for governance, when you go for banking system, and when you want to speed it up, what would you do? Like for example, previously when you go to the banks, it was like people need to take a token, and after 1 hour they'll get to know that our turn would come or not. Like for example, if I'm going at 10 a.m. in the morning at the bank, and I will take a token to transfer the money from one place to another, I need to wait at least for 2 hours. Why? Because there is a system into the banking where once you initiate the transaction, it would go to the sub-server, and that sub-server would be authenticated by the branch manager, and after that branch manager authenticates it, it would go to the main server. Now, if main server authenticates your transaction, after that, the transaction would happen and you will get your money from the bank. Now, this was the biggest issue. How slow it is, you can think about it. Even if the connectivity is down from one of the servers, then what would happen? You can think. So that's why we were waiting for more than 1 hour to get one single transaction of just rupees 10,000 or 5,000. So that was the issue. Apart from that, the data integrity. Like if I'm transferring between the server, still I have the secure network, still I have everything, but still it's getting a lot more time, and still there are some points where the data would get lost or theft at certain point, because there are lots of bridges going on between this. So to avoid that, they introduced microservices architecture, and the most happening microservice architecture was Docker and container. Still people are using that, and that's most comfortable architecture to use at the moment. So what they did here is they introduced the server level architecture here. Until now we were discussing front end, back end, and now it's server level architecture. So that what is happening here is, like, once you were using a server of 500 MB, now that 500 MB is divided into various partitions, and those various partitions are called to be the containers, and the server itself is said to be the Docker. So that's why it's called Docker and container based microservices architecture. So what happens here is, the container is basically the set of data which we are keeping under one container, and that container is parted on that particular partition of server, and that becomes your Docker and container. Now what happens here is, understand it clearly. Like for example, if my name is Tilak and I'm just writing my name is Tilak Masrani. Now Tilak goes to one of the container and Masrani goes to other container, because Tilak Masrani is needed when I want to verify it with a certain ID. Before that, the Tilak is enough for the server, because when you go to your banking account system, till today you are able to set two names. First is your primary name, that is your complete name, and second one is your subname. So by transactions, you can use that username or subname and you can do the transaction, because the wall name is not required at that point. So by this, they have divided into various containers. And what they did is, like, whatever container is needed for us, we will use that part only. So what happened? The speed increased. We need less space at that point, because we don't need the wall data to be accessed. Plus, it was secured, because the data we are accessing is that particular container, not everything. So data has become more secured at that point. The complete data is not lost. Still the data was losing. We were losing the data at that point, but still the data was not lost. And after that, there came into existence that like Docker container is famous. Everything is working fine. We have got the solutions we needed and everything was sorted at that point. But still there was an issue. Why? Because as I explained, the banking and governance still need approval from their headquarters.
Correct.
And still there was an issue of connectivity. If there is a loss of connection in between, the internet loss or anything happens, your data is lost. So still there was the issue. So what they introduced into the microservices, that is Kubernetes cluster. So basically to understand the Kubernetes, understand the neural network. Like if you go into the branch and tree structure, so what happens is, for example, each tree has multiple branches, and those multiple branches has its own, you can say, leaf and nodes and everything. The nodes are there into the branch, then the sub-branches are there, the leaves are there. So what they have converted this into, they have converted into the Kubernetes cluster. Now what's happening here is, for example, I'm staying in Ahmedabad, and in Ahmedabad there is an area named as Satellite. So now that Satellite has around 8 branches of SBI. Let's say the best example, the well-known branch is State Bank of India. So around in SBI, they have the 8 branches of State Bank of India into that particular area. Now what's happening here is, if I create a sub-server or a small node server to that particular 8 branches, and they need to just take the permission from that particular server, how fast this is and how secure this is, you can understand. Because they have set the signature-based system there, and they have introduced branch managers now. So now branch managers can authenticate your transaction easily, and on the base of that, those transactions will be stored in that particular area sub-server. And once this area sub-server is updated, there would be a time, like if you are using WhatsApp, let's take an example of WhatsApp. So each time backup comes at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. of the night. So same way in banking also, this is the same thing is happening. The whole day that sub-server will authenticate the transactions, would keep the image of those transactions with it, And once those authenticated transactions are be done, it will update to the main server. So even if you are doing a online banking, you can test it out. At certain period of time into the night, it won't be working. Like if you go for 4 a.m. or 2 a.m., it would show that your bank is down and you cannot do the transaction because they are updating those transactions. So by this means, they have started creating a cluster, and those nets or the neural network between those sub-servers and the main servers created a Kubernetes cluster. So this is how the Kubernetes cluster was introduced into the market. But still, the issue was the same. It was centralized system. And still the data was being theft, and still there was issues with the connectivity and everything. So now people came into the third aspect of this. With the same microservices architecture, there was the third aspect, that what if I do normal data transfer to the data transaction level. Now just understand one term, transaction. What is transaction? When you initiate the transaction, it either goes from one party to another party, or it comes from one party to another party. So it's a one-way routing process. So if I implement this same transactional model into our system, then what will happen? Like first thing, it would be secured because there is no other intervention just between two parties and an authenticator. And that authenticator was always a virtual machine throughout the process. So two parties would do the transaction, and there would be the authenticator to transfer the data between two parties so that they can check that whether this data which you are transferring is valid or not, or you are eligible to do the transfer or not. So basically this system which we have created without any alterations, without any other authentications or the human touch required, that was basically introduced as a blockchain into the market. So that was the first step of blockchain, to make it more transactional level and to avoid the alterations of the data or alterations of connectivity here. Now, how it is beating the connectivity part here, let's understand that. Now, when we talk about blockchain in a layman term, blockchain is mainly consists of three things. The first is the node, means server. Second is the block, means where the data is going to store. And third is the hash. Hash is basically the transfer route of that data and the address of that particular block. Like I'm Tilak, that my block would be there. The other person would be there. Like for example, my company is there. If I'm transferring my data to my company, then they would also have the allocated block to them. So what would happen? From my block, the data would transfer. It will convert it into the encrypted hash, and that encrypted hash would go to the other block. It would be get decrypted, and the data would be stored there. And between this process, no human interventions are required. So that's what actually blockchain is. So into layman language, we can say it's a transaction level database language which is used to transfer the data without any human interventions, with smartly and with the help of specific rule sets, so that it can be secured, it can be there with you, and it would have the imaginary part where it would keep your data safe. So that's basically a layman into the blockchain language.
Thank you, Tilak sir. I just, when you were explaining about the things related to financial transaction, I just got remembered about Satoshi Nakamoto. So he is the pioneer for identifying Bitcoin.
Yes.
In 2009 itself, he did this to avoid this confusion of double spending, which was one of the major issue in financial institutions. I think this is very much necessary, that the people should understand the reason the blockchain came into the picture, that this is the pioneer, and after which multiple blockchains came into the picture depending upon the needs and different use cases we try to explore.
Yeah.
So I have been seeing that a few of my friends, they consider blockchain as a crypto. They relate a lot of things. When I talk about blockchain to them, they say that this is fake. This is something which is not completely authorized by government in terms of cryptocurrency. So how a person should identify or should be knowing that cryptocurrency and blockchain relation is something which needs to be differentiated so that they can explore the better parts of blockchain instead of trying to identifying the gray zones which are related to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question, and that's the greatest myth into the blockchain industry.
Yes.
See, if you see, as I said, that initially the blockchain is a backend level architecture. So what we need to understand here is consider the blockchain as a backend, but crypto is the part of it. Now, what if I say that you are using tokens since the starting of the banking? You won't be believing it, but you are using it since the starting of the banking. For example, if I'm depositing a certain amount to the bank account, what happens? It would show you the numbers. What are those numbers? This is a digital currency. So digital currency is there since the starting of the bank. Like, for example, if I am transferring money from me to my family members to any other account, are you transferring the physical currency? No, you are transferring the digital currency. So basically, what they have created is like the stable tokens of your currency. If you understand stable tokens, see the tokens which are being generated with the help of the ledger or with the database of the reserve bank of that particular country, then those tokens are said to be the stable tokens. Now, whatever tokens right now the banking system is using are the stable tokens, but those are the centralized tokens. The difference blockchain is like it is a decentralized way of doing the transactions and not with the banking. Because what is happening here is, just understand, apart from you, how many people are knowing that how much amount is there in your bank account? Just understand it. Like, for example, I am having 1,000 in my bank account. I am knowing that I am having the 1,000. The cashier knows that. The branch manager knows that. And the head of this particular bank knows that I am having the 1,000 rupees in my account. And why should I say to these people? Now, there is a term, like for example, in certain bank accounts, they are saying that you need to keep minimum amount of 10,000 rupees. Why? What is the use of that? Exactly. Why should I keep even 10,000 rupees in your bank account without using it? It means there is no use of those amount. Else I need to pay a penalty on each point. So we need to understand this, that how they are, they are looting us at a certain point. I would not say looting, it's a bad area, but still understand it. Now what happens, you are not owning your transactions here. First thing, you are only enabled to do the transaction if bank is allowing you to do that. Right? Why should I go to that spot? Why I am not having the power to do my transactions? And why should I not use my last penny of the account? Right? So there is no answers been given from the bank side to us, that why should I keep 10,000 to their accounts? So, and second thing, whatever money you are paying to them, that is converted to digital currency. Then why are you thinking that digital currency is a bad one? Yeah, definitely digital currency is bad one in a certain way when the other culture comes into it. Like for example, right now the latest trend is meme culture. Now, is it a currency? No, that's not a currency. They are saying that this is a joke. They themselves are saying it is been public. You need to read it. That this is a joke. Then don't go with meme culture. But think about it. Like for example, I'm an industry. I'm launching my IPO. Let's say an example. Just understand digital currency. What is digital currency? I am an organization. I want to list it into the stock market. So what I would do? I would gather all my assets, evaluate it, and on the base of that, I'll convert it to the shares. Now, if I say that those shares and those tokens are one and the same, would you be able to understand? Company is the blockchain, those tokens or the coins are its shares, and they are making it public. So, if you go to equity, purchase the shares, isn't it risky? Then why are you differentiating cryptocurrency from those shares? Because this is one and the same. Company is launching their coin. I mean, discussing coin, not the token. Token is different part, coin is different part. But if company is launching a coin, for example, let's say the biggest example is Bitcoin. Company is launching its Bitcoin. Now, you can understand this is a company. They have provided their white paper. They have provided their pitch. They have make you understand that what is the calculation behind this coin, how the rewards are being managed, how the money is being managed, where the money is going and how it is going to be structured within the ecosystem. Then why don't you trust it? Because the same thing banking is doing with you, the same thing the equity market is doing with you, And the same thing the digital currency is doing with you. And if you are saying that you are not getting the digital footprints and that's why it is illegal or the gray area or you are not comfortable with it, because you don't know that there is an Explorer network where you can track it. The difference only here is there you have a banking account, you have the banking name, you know the other person's name, and you can track it out. That is the only difference between cryptocurrency and the normal currency. In cryptocurrency, it's a wallet address. Like I'm 1234 and another one is 5678. The transaction is happening between 1234 and 5678, but you can track this transaction. There is an Explorer network. You can track the route, you can check the status, you can even check the rebound. And there is a protocol right now which is introduced recently into the DevCon, the rollback protocol. It was there since long. Even PayPal was using the rollback mechanism since long time. That is the baggage cash system. So this rollback is already introduced into the blockchain, and if certain transactions are happened in a fake way, then there is a term named as IPFS, Interplanetary File System. That is IPFS, and that is said to be the parking server. Whatever transaction happens within the banking system are always there into the parking server, and that is once it's authorized by the banking system, it would do the transaction further into the main system. So same thing is there into blockchain. So relate it with the current scenario. So this is the misconception of blockchain. Now coming on to that part, whatever we were discussing right now until now, that was all about the coins. Coming on to the token. Now, for example, if you are going into the bank, right? If you are doing an FD is done with the real currency. Now that FD is been secured with the bank, you cannot break it. You will not get the money until the maturity is achieved. And they are giving you the percentage of that particular amount which you have stored into the FD, right? You are getting 5%, 7% based on your FD, you are doing that. Now what is that? That's basically token amount they are giving it to you. Those rewards are the token amount. So you have generated the coin, that is currency, and the sub coin or the rewards which are generated are said to be the token. That is the one term where the token is used, and that is called the utility tokens. The second token came into existence is like every dollar has a cent and every rupee has a paisa, right? So everyone cannot afford 1 rupee, but the people who can afford 50 paisa can generate the tokens. So now here the tokens are the 50 paisa of that particular coin. If you understand the technology here, like for example, if I have created the coin and coin is valuated based on the money or the liquidity I have. Right now, even if you go, Reserve Bank has certain liquidity, and based on that, the money pricing or the rupee pricing has been handled. So same concept is used here into the blockchain. Like if you are giving liquidity, for example, if you have 50,000 tokens and those 50,000 coins, I will go with the coins. If you have 50,000 coins and if I have 50,000 rupees with my liquidity pool, and if I connect this coin and those rupees together, then my valuation of those digital coins would become 50,000. So this is one and the same what banking is using. Like real money is converted to the digital currency. Same is happening here. But the only difference is this is the tradable currency. Like this was the normal currency, stable currency. This is the tradable currency. Now into this also there are various stable currencies are there. So if you are planning to invest, go with stable currencies. If you are frightened about, but it's not fake. So just understand about it. Like if you go with USDT, that's a US government token. The Reserve Bank is handling that. Even India is using CBDC, the INR based token. The recent Scandinavian countries are just meeting up to make their own stable currency using their own reserve banks. So now this currency is already been connected to your government. And how can you say that this is a fake currency? Right? So it is just a perspective you need to change. You need to understand the difference between the real currency which you are using into the banking and the digital currency. Yeah, the only issue is right now you need to maintain those wallets. Until now the banking system was there who was maintaining your wallet. See, your bank account is your wallet. Same way blockchain is also your wallet. The difference is in bank account you do the KYC, so they get to know that this is Tilak Masrani's bank account. But in blockchain there is no KYC, so Tilak Masrani is the owner of that particular wallet, but only Tilak Masrani and the blockchain itself knows that. So this is the main difference between that, and that's why people are frightened of that, because people don't know exactly. And see, there are always going to be the two sides of the coin on each and every aspect. So people are always going to use technology in good ways as well as bad ways. But this doesn't make sense that the technology is bad in certain point. This is legal. People are using it. The government is authenticating it, and even lots of government are running on it. Even our government is running on few of the public ledgers. Like CBDC is the part of it. The traveling ledger is there for DG Yatra. So all those are public ledgers. Are already, our governance is already using that with their blockchain. So digital currency, first thing, it's not fake. Second thing is already related to the real world.
Oh, so it was nice to understand. Like, if anything is not backed by a utility which is providing value, then considering that coin or considering that token or investing in such kind of thing is a risky thing. That is the ultimate thing that I could understand from this talk. Another thing that I would like to understand, as a part of academicians, we are teaching students about how the blockchain is working, what are the programming languages that are supporting these blockchain architectures. Even some researches are going in this field. But as an industrialist, how you see different perspectives or different job opportunities that are there in the market if some student is not good with the technical thing? Because right now I can see blockchain is having multiple technical difficulties to understand for a student, as it is having as it needs the person to be having the knowledge of cyber security, data structure, then cryptography. So a lot of things are there involved in the architecture part of blockchain. So how someone who is not interested in these kind of things or has not a background from these subjects, what kind of opportunities industries can offer to these students?
Definitely. See, there are lots of opportunities to those students. Even if engineering department is there, if the commerce department is there, if the financial department is there, even I would say whoever has the mind can use the blockchain and can be the part of the blockchain. Why I'm saying this? See, first you need to understand there are always three layers of development. Like, first is the front-end layer, second is the back-end layer, and third is the server grid layer. Now, those three layers are connected in a certain way. So, first, we need someone to understand that why, what and when is required. First thing, I need a person who should understand a requirement, why this requirement is required. Like if I'm a client, I'm going to someone, and I need a person or a solution architect who need to understand why this client is coming to me, what is the use case of this, and where I need to implement this. So, firstly, for that, people should get to know the basic architecture of data. Like they need to know the data models. If you know there is a job named as BA, like business analyst. What does this business analyst do? That basically creates two types of stuff. The first is they do the current trends research and they do the R&D, and based of them they submit the reports to the company, and company works on that part. Even the clientele works on that part. They do the R&D on their competitors, they do the R&D on various parts, and they provide you a reporting. And on the base of that, you get to know the decision. Means they help you in doing the decision making solutions. The second thing what BA does is they do the data flow diagrams. Now in this you don't need the technical knowledge for that. You just need to understand that how the data is going to manage within the ecosystem. Right? See, blockchain is not completely a front-end language. It's a back-end language, right? So definitely this is going to be a hybrid model. The front end is going to be different, the back end is going to be different, and blockchain layer is going to be different. And the server is something different. What we are discussing here is. So what we need people here is, firstly, who can understand the requirement of the client. Like they need to think about the solution. So first we need a solution architect. So that is a job which you have the opportunity as a student. You need to understand, you need to grasp that what exactly your client wants, or what exactly the industry or that particular problem statement wants from you. Second comes the role of data analyst, who do the research that how this would initiate, like what would be the user journey, what would be the developer's journey, and what would be the backend's journey. And on base of that, we need a data analyst who can study all those journeys and provide us an architecture of that particular database. So that is another job opportunity. And third is the tokenomics design. Now, this is especially for the commerce students. They would like it a lot. Because see, when you understand tokenomics design, that's basically the share or shareholding deployments, what we are discussing here. Like for example, I am having 100% of my company. Now, 60% I am going to give keep to myself. The 40% I am going to make it public or either within my organization. So what happens here is, like, this is the tokenomics designer who would design the tokenomics in such a way that what amount would be there in research, research and development, what should be in reserve fund, what should be with the public, what should be with my organization, and what should be with my investors, or there are any other parties who are involved with me, and what should be the funding given to the ecosystem. Like the government ecosystem is there, the development ecosystem is there. So what kind of funding should be divided to those ecosystems? So those are the tokenomics design, and this is the most difficult part of any blockchain. Now, as I said, tokenomics, people will think about cryptocurrency again. I know. But understand the same thing happens with your data. Because there are two types of data. One is the public data and second is transactional data. Now, you need to understand the tokenomics of transactional data. That how much data would go at which place would be decided from with the end of tokenomics, and that is to be designed separately, and this is not a technical development. This is a cognitive development and your mind development. That's basically calculations we do in the day-to-day basis. So that's also a part of job role into the blockchain. And the third and the most part is the awareness. Now, if there are different technologies coming into the market, like recently, the RWAs are being launched into the market. Then there will be a person who need to share the research paper based on how and when and why I can implement the RWA, real world asset tokenization. And that should be aligned with the government infrastructure. Why? Because real world is directly attached to governance. If this table is there, then this is my asset. And this asset is already having the governance value or the base value, which is already connected with the market sentiments. So there should be a researcher who can relate this model and tokenize this particular table into blockchain. That how the valuation of this particular table can be to the blockchain. And if I divide this table and make two pieces of it, then how can we divide it and still it can be with the same valuation? So these are the part of other job roles which are already there into the blockchain, apart from technical and development.
Correct. Absolutely. It was nice to understand this. This is really needed at the student level, that they should be understanding these architectures, these roles, so that they can decide their career and should get motivated by different roles this blockchain industry is providing to the every aspect of students. Another question would be, if there is a student who is enthusiastic in blockchain, and we can see a lot of blockchains in the ecosystem right now. Okay. So which 3 blockchains you would recommend any person as in terms of exploring the culture, exploring the community that blockchain is exploring and building, so that can help that student for a longer run? So
sure, this is really a good question for the students, I would say. See, understand the stuff here. Like blockchain always has the 3 nets. The first is the dev net, where you upload the CLI, command line interface. I think the technical students would know more. So first is the CLI layer or the command line interface layer, where you do the development of the blockchain. Blockchain is something, it's not like generated from the scratch, like it's not a self-generated system. Definitely developers have built that. So the first is DevNet, developers network. Second is the testnet, the explorer network, where you authenticate or you can check the particular those transactions happening onto the blockchain. And the third is the mainnet or the user net, where people like me, people like the layman people do the transactions. So these are the 3 nets. Now, if students want to start studying the blockchain, they should go with the blockchain who has the older DevNets. For example, if I say the first DevNet was publicly introduced, was Ethereum. Ethereum 1, ETH 0 and ETH 1, that was the first DevNet which was introduced into the market. And you can start studying that how the structure, architecture and the layers of Ethereum 0 or Ethereum 1 was there. Now, so go with Ethereum development network architecture. Second, I would suggest go with Shibarium. If you want to understand current scenarios, if you want to understand how the people are using blockchain, how they are creating utilities, how there are different aspects of blockchain are used with different, you can say, areas apart from cryptocurrency, go with Shibarium. And if you want to learn completely, I can say completely based on the fintech model or finance model, go with Algorand. The name itself says it's Algorand. Like, it's algorithmic blockchain completely based on for the fintech. So these three blockchains are the key where you can study it. Now, if you want to go with meme culture, I would suggest go with Solana, because that's the best infrastructure they are providing us. But as a developer, you need to understand here two things. If you are connected with Python, you only have the option to go with Solidity language, or either the languages which are connected with EVMs, Ethereum Virtual Machines. So those languages are been quite comfortable with you if you are the person of Python. But if you are person of Rust, like if you are person of Golang, or if you are person of C++, object-oriented programming, the quite old language. So if you are person of that, then you can go with Rust. You can go with Solana, you can go with Stellar. Stellar is the biggest platform right now which is giving you the option to create an ecosystem of your particular on their blockchain without any coding. You can use that. Like, you can be a developer of that, you can be the partner of that Stellar development network. Then there is one other blockchain is there, if you know about Cardano and Cosmos. Those are said to be the relay chains. Now, what is relay chain? Understand it. Like, if I want to create a layer 2 of the blockchain or layer 3 of the blockchain, those are the blockchains provide you the layer 0. Like, understand the layers of the blockchain first here. The layer 0 is the architecture or the backend architecture of the blockchain. Layer 1 is the blockchain itself, the organization itself. Layer 2 is the sub-organization of that particular blockchain. So that is layer 2. So if I understand here is, layer 0 is those consortium chains, or you can say ledger-based chains, who only work with the database, or who provide you the neural architecture of those servers, those nodes, or you can say the hardware connectivity of particular towards the tech. So that is layer 0. Then layer 1s are like Ethereum is there, Binance is there, then this Algorand is there. Those are the layer 1s of the architecture. Now going to the layer 2, understand the biggest example is Polygon. Polygon is the layer 2 of Ethereum. So that is the layer 2 architecture of the blockchain. So firstly, you need to understand those layers, and on the base of that, you can decide what kind of technologies would be there and what kind of things you need to come up with and how you can connect with the blockchain. And see, blockchain is always a hybrid language. Like, it will require front end, it will require a normal back end to interact with the people, and after that it comes to the blockchain layer. So definitely you need to understand full stack development. That is the most trending concept right now into the market, plus the core languages. So if you want to come to blockchain, you need to understand this part or any aspect of this particular part. And the last thing, the most important part is shredding and threading. Now, whoever knows the DevOps part would easily understand what I spoke right now. The shredding of the server and threading of the server. What is that? For example, I am getting a server of 1 GB. I don't require 1 GB space. I can run multiple projects on that particular 1 GB server. So what I am doing here is, I will just tier it up. Like we tier the paper, I will tier up the server into different spaces, and each space would be each space would generate a thread. So that is called threading of the server. And that particular thread is going to be used as an backend architecture to store that particular blockchain project on that particular thread. So you also need to be a part of DevOps here in that case. So this is how you can penetrate the blockchain technology and come into it.
Okay, nice to hear that the three blockchains actually. Um, it is really interesting that Solana is being one of the top 5 blockchains right now in the ecosystem, and recently it has completely got this name of meme culture just because of all the memes that it is mapping without any utility, of course, without any utility. And there are blockchains which are helping in governance and algorithmic side like Algorand, Cosmos you mentioned. So it is interesting that there are multiple solutions available in blockchain for every kind of user. So it is not something which is only specific or rigid. It is something which is very flexible. Very flexible, as depending on the user needs, different blockchains can be explored and can be identified and to work on.
Yeah, I would also like to add one more point. Like, see, blockchain is an open source language. No one is saying that you cannot create your own blockchain. Like, if these people like Ethereum is there, Binance is there, they have created their own architecture, their own blockchain, and the code is open source. So you can take an example from them. You can create your own blockchain if you know the core languages, because blockchain was developed with the core languages. Like, if you know the core language, core Python, if you know core React, like the JavaScript Oracle part is there, because blockchain works on oracles. Oracles is basically the group of database. So, or if you know the oracles, Java Oracle system, if you know C++, if you know Go language, then those core language creates a blockchain. So if you are a part of core language, then you are the part of blockchain already.
Absolutely. And this also reminds me of Vitalik Buterin. He invented, he was one of the main co-founder of Ethereum. And he did that at the age of 19.
Yes.
So at the age of 19, that guy has completely revolutionized how the blockchain is working on smart contracts. So it is open for all the participants who would like to work. Few more questions from Karnavati University. Like you were also one of the panelists in our panel discussion today for Industry 5.2. And you did interacted with our students. So how was your experience at Karnavati University and interacting with the students? What kind of vibes you have felt over here?
See, firstly, I would like to know that this is really a modern level, a free architecture I can say here. Like I have not seen the students who were quite confident to even come up and ask those questions. Because students are always going to have the questions and they should have the questions. But to have a courage to ask those questions, it's really a difficult part. And if university is developing such students, then I think this is the best. This is the best place to work with. And definitely, the panel discussion was really interactive. Like, even I got to know a few of the stuff which was not from my industry and I can adapt to my knowledge. So definitely panel discussion was really a successful term. Even the interactions with those authorities, with the students was quite smooth. So definitely I matched the modern vibe with the students here.
Okay, fine. That is completely KU vibes. That multidisciplinary is something that we are encouraging to our students. Another question, and the last question from my side.
Okay.
We at Karnavati University are cultivating this multidisciplinary culture at students. The student from engineering is able to interact with design students, law students, management students, and can explore different possibilities. So, what you think as an industrialist, these kind of cultures are helpful for the student, or how they are improvising the quality of students that are coming to the industry, having the multidisciplinary?
This is the most important part actually. That's the greatest thing you are doing here. Why I'm saying this? Because the fear of industry always evolves when you work within the one pond. Like, you cannot be a frog of one pond. You need to explore those streams. So if you are enabling students to go to those multiple industries, they will get to know the problem statements. Their mind would be developed. They would have the courage to stand up to the industry, to stand up to the people. So definitely this is the greatest thing you are doing here. So they won't fearing those industries outside it, and they would get to know that what kind of explorations they can do. Like, they have the chance to explore the multiple industries now. Even if they are doing something specialization in their particular industry, they will get to know that how many industries are connected to this and where I can get a job, which is good for me, which is good for my surroundings. So definitely this is the best thing you are doing. Plus, people are becoming fearless. The students are becoming fearless here due to this. Because see, when there are certain organizations are there, if you are just studying computer engineering, you are only connected with those students and those authorities who is just learning the computers. Where max to max the hardware part is there or the software part is there. Apart from that, you don't know how the electricity is going to flow with those particular servers. If a server goes down, then what is the next part I need to do? That we need to interact with the EC department. Now, same way, if you go, if you are into the gaming industry, still you need to develop a software into C#, like if you are using Unity. But you get to know that how the Blender animation is going on. And how can that animation can fit to my skeletal architecture, and after that, how can I animate it with programming? So definitely, if these three industries are connecting together, and if students are roaming between those industries, it would be quite easy for them to understand the problems of the market. And they would have the courage to speak up or to switch to those various industries with the same knowledge and with the same attitude. So this is the biggest thing which you are doing right now.
Thank you, Tilak sir. Thank you for your kind words. It was nice interacting with you. We hope that we will be interacting again and again, and we will be calling you again for our students to organize hackathons, projects, workshops. So we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for hosting. Thank you.